One guy that I mentored, I watched him make millions of dollars. I used to keep telling him I would never have to work again if I could just take advantage of the money that you allow to slip between the cracks. I watched him end up sabotaging himself. Another company that I worked with, I was on the board of directors. When I started working with the company, they were doing $69,000 a month. I helped them go to $1.2 million, watched him sabotage himself. So those are some of the past. But again, one of the key things is from the past, we all get different experiences. I love the definition of experience. This is what you get when you don't get what you want. It's how you learn from your experiences.
Hi, and welcome to Entrepreneur Freedom Solutions Show. I'm Eric Asbeck, and today we have somebody you're going to definitely want to hear from. Robert Butwin is a serial, lifelong entrepreneur, and what we're going to talk about is helping entrepreneurs be successful. I think you're going to want to hear this one. So hi, Robert. Welcome.
Hello, Eric, and I'm really glad to be here and share some insight and wisdom with your audience.
Yes, and imagine with that introduction, they're already really interested. So let's jump in. So tell me about helping entrepreneurs be successful, and I guess what makes that so important?
Well, the biggest thing of why that is important, because one of the key secrets I've learned, the more that you give, the more that you get. I've been very successful, and even though I'm 70 years young and I'll never stop working, not because I need to, but because I love what I do, I can't take my wisdom to the grave. One of the key things that we all can realize and agree upon is there's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. One of the key things that I've learned a long time ago, a confused mind's natural state is immobility. And I hear the fact that most entrepreneurs aren't making over $100,000 a year. In fact, 80 to 85%. So my question is, what's wrong with that picture? And the reason why it's so important is because I believe entrepreneurs are the heart and soul of the world, because that's really what makes everything go around. They're the light beings. And so my focus is, what can I do to help entrepreneurs take whatever they're doing to another level, to have that breakthrough, to make this, to attract the success that they're looking for.
Yes, and I agree with you. From small acorns, huge oaks grow. And
exactly.
There isn't a business out there that didn't start at the beginning.
Yep.
So, well, could you just, people are going to want to know how you got started. And
Yep.
So could you talk us through it?
Sure. I believe I started off as an entrepreneur, so to speak. I've always enjoyed making money. As far back as I can remember, everything from delivering papers to shoveling snows to cutting grass to caddying to actually working at Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor before I was ready to go into the working place. I was like a singer and waiter, and I always made the most tips. I had a booth at the state fair. I've always looked at making money, but I always knew that I was going to go into a business. See, our family started the high school award cheerleading jacket business in the 1930s. I was the oldest son, third generation, always expected to end up running that family business. Two challenges. Challenge one, too much family in the family business. My grandmother, even though she was never there and my dad was president, dictated who got paid how much, and she wanted to make sure all of her grandkids were paid approximately the same. And in my mind, there was something wrong, because I was a producer and many of my cousins were not necessarily producers. And the other part was they were not willing to adapt to changes, because one of the key things that I recognize is the marketplace is always changing. So
Yes.
as I was trying to get out of the family business, and this was when I was single, I would always go to different bars, nightclubs, looking to find my lifelong partner. Now, I never found her in the bar or the nightclub, but what happened is I ended up running a nightclub in the Twin Cities. It was called the Oz Nightclub. The owner that originally opened it just sabotaged it without going into the details why, and I ended up running the club based on things I got. Now, that didn't get me out of the family business, but it just enforce the fact that I am an entrepreneur. Then I got into direct marketing and I went on to make millions upon millions of dollars. And then I've transcended beyond that. So that was just part of my background. I was instrumental in 65 million cassette tapes going into the marketplace for the audience that remembers what a cassette tape is. And I've always looked at myself as a networker. My mom, 70-year friend who she introduced me to last year, and he's written many different books. One of the ones that has become my networking Bible, because we've all heard the saying that your net worth is in direct relationship to the value of your network. So I've always focused on a network. So his book, and his name is Harvey McKay, and it's called Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. Now I'd like to add on to his title. My rendition is Don't Stop Digging Until You Hit Either Gold or Water. So that's like the foundation that has gotten me to this point. I was on the board of directors of a company called Amazon Herb. I've seen so much as an entrepreneur, and that's why I'm really excited about being on your show, sharing my perspectives, insights, wisdoms, things that I know that work with your audience.
That's awesome. What a path to bring you here. And I have to say, by the way, the Twin Cities are a lovely place. I know many people that basically would never want to even leave there. They love it. So, well, so what are some of the common myths around this whole idea of being a successful entrepreneur, and how would you debunk them?
Sure. Well, first of all, to me, the biggest myth is that you need to work hard. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't take work, but I believe you want to work smart, not hard. The bottom line is my results have come based on being able to, number one, understand and gather the information, interpret the information, and then implement the information. So you want to work smart. You want to develop a team of high quality people around you. There's an acronym that I heard Mark Hansen say a long time ago. The acronym of team is Together Everybody Achieves Miracles. And I really believe that the right team, being a sports fanatic, I take in my favorite sport that I played up until 68 was basketball, and I played at a very high level. And so basketball is just 5 members. So it's just, I love the fact of working with a team of people and helping other people succeed.
And I've heard it said, as if you're building a team, if you're not picking people smarter than you, you're missing out on an opportunity. Just like if you're building a basketball team, you want the folks that are going to hit the shots and better than you.
Exactly. You're only as good as your weakest link. And I was not a really great shooter, and I talk about that in my book. But I was really good at playing defense and being able to recognize your block shots, stop, rebound, all those things. So
right. You find other people that complement your strengths, and that's the way, at least from my thinking, that's the way to success.
Definitely.
Cool. So could you tell me maybe somebody or a group of people, type of people that you've mentored, and what's the transformation that they've gotten?
Well, a couple people, the transformation, talk about the good and the bad, because again, I believe in being very authentic. And I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly in the entrepreneurial arena, no problem about it. But one guy that I mentored, I watched him make millions of dollars. I used to keep telling him I would never have to work again if I could just take advantage of the money that you allow to slip between the cracks. I watched him end up sabotaging himself. Another company that I worked with, I was on the board of directors. When I started working with the company, they were doing $69,000 a month. I helped them go to $1.2 million, watched him sabotage himself. So those are some of the past. But again, one of the key things is from the past, we all get different experiences. I love the definition of experience. This is what you get when you don't get what you want. It's how you learn from your experiences to get you to where you are and where you'll end up being. So I'm using that perspective and insight as I'm mentoring people today. And I've got a variety of people that I'm mentoring today that are just in the process of making major breakthroughs, which really is what pleases me, watching people that I can help in relationship to change maybe one or two little things they're doing that will allow them to create that breakthrough so that they can attract the success that they deserve, because I believe everybody deserves to be successful.
Yes. Intrigued me there with talking about how folks sometimes sabotage themselves. And although I don't necessarily want to name names and things like that, I'm just curious, like, how's that happen? And is there something you can do to keep from shooting yourself in the foot?
Well, let me name a name because he's a high profile person and everybody I think will relate to it. It's not nobody that I've worked with, but the name I'm going to name is Tiger Woods. He was on the top of the world and he allowed his power and influence to take him into into areas that you and I would probably say he shouldn't have gone to.
Yeah.
And how many golf tournaments? He was on pace to become the GOAT in the game of golfing. He won more golf tournaments than ever before.
Yeah.
Why it happens? They forgot where they came from. They lost sight of their purpose, why they're doing what they're doing, and they allowed themselves to get in the wrong uncharted waters, whatever.
I got it. So easily said, sometimes not as easy to implement.
Well, you start thinking you're more of who than you, more of what your ego, you allow your ego to overtake the reality of what's going on.
I'm trying to think of an ego joke, but I don't have one right now, so that's okay. Well, that's helpful insight. Are there any other insights that come to mind that you could share with us?
I can, because I continually think about what I can do to have a bigger, better impact with entrepreneurs. And I've come up with what I call the ABCs, and it's based on 18 key pieces of the puzzle that, as you continually think about these and put these into action, and the one strategy that I made millions of dollars on. And there are 8 letters that begin with A, 2B, and 8C. And I always tell people, I always start with the C's. And the reason why I start with the C's, that was the grade I got the most of in high school and college. Now, remember, I told you the backstory. I always expected to run our family business. Education was mandatory, but I didn't see it was important. That was one of my biggest mistakes. But in the meantime, so the first thing is being clear on why you're doing what you're doing and the purpose in relationship to what you're doing. The second C is commitment. Are you committed and serious about creating the success that you believe that you want? The third C is choices. We all make choices, and not when we make the right choices, we never really think anything of it. But when you make a choice that doesn't work out, it was like, what was the lesson I was supposed to get from this choice? Life has certain lessons we're all supposed to get. And until we understand and get that lesson, it will continually trip you up in that lesson.
Actually, I almost think of it like each time I do something, I'm running another experiment. Expect a certain outcome, and either I get it or I don't. And then it's like, okay, so what can we learn from today?
Well, and that's why I'm giving you the key foundations of everything that I've learned, so that
Sure.
So the third C is, or the fourth C is canny, constant and never ending improvement. One person can change your life, or one cassette tape, or one book, or one event that you go to can change your life. Mine happened, my first one happened was when I listened to a Wayne Dyer cassette tape series. And it was called No Limit Person. And I came to the realizations from the title that the limits that existed in my life, I was responsible for them being there. Once you take responsibility for what is in relationship to where you want to, or what you want to accomplish, you can take responsibility for what will be. But most people are in a state of denial. And I love the acronym of denial, which is don't even notice I am lying. And at that point,
Love it.
so at that point, I started changing my mindset. I started turning my car into a university. I started reading more books. I started going to events and seminars. So again, I knew that I could change my mindset. So you want to make life a lifelong learning experience. So that was the next C. The next C is coaching. or mentorship. Now, one of my biggest things that changed everything is when I came across my first mentor. And he was somebody that anytime I had a challenge, I could pick up the phone and I knew that I could trust and that he was sharing his wisdom with me and not even charging me. So the next C is there. The next C is communication. You've got internal and external communication. It's like every day whenever I go out on walks with my wife, sometime during the walk, she'll say, "What are you saying to yourself?" And every time she asks me that question, she knows I'm talking to myself, because we all talk to ourselves. The question is positive or negative. What are you really thinking? That internal dialogue. And then the other side of that is your external communication. You want to have simple, profound messaging. Get to the point where people are very busy. They want to know really specifically what is the point in relationship to what you're talking about. So communication is the next one. The next one is your connections. Well, we've heard this saying, your net worth is in direct relationship to the value of your network. What are you doing to expand your network and to continually bring value to your network? And the last one is collaboration. I don't think about transaction. I think about collaboration. I think about when is the other person going to win? Am I going to win? And are the people that we are serving going to win? So if I didn't forget them, there should have been 8 C's. And if they're not, and some of your audience listens to it and says, "Oh, you only gave 7," they'll at the end, I know you'll give how they can connect with me. So there's 2 B's. There's 2 B's. The first B is belief. One of the key people I used to listen to was Jim Rohn. In fact, I actually was on stage 3 times with him. But when Jim said, if people believe the promise, they'll pay the price. So I went ahead and started working on myself. He went on to say, you can make a living working in a job. You can make a fortune working on yourself. I validated that is the case. Now, on the other side of belief, and right in the middle of the word belief is the word lie, is what beliefs are holding you back, whatever they might be. What were you programmed that you might not even be aware of? For example, when I was growing up, my parents would used to tell me, don't talk to strangers. Now I'm going to tell you, you can make a fortune turning strangers into friends. So understand your self-limiting beliefs. And the next B is balance.
And by the way, that makes me think of, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yes, exactly. But the first key to change is awareness. And once you're aware of the things that are not working, you can make the changes. That's quite often why people will want to coach or mentor. So the next B is balance. So you can be out of balance for short term, but not long term. So you need to have a life of balance. Okay, let's go to the A's. The first A is aware of what you really want, aware of the activities you need to do, aware of what your brand is. The next A is accept the changes you need to make. Recently, approximately a year ago, I ended up getting a digital calendar. I realized that what I'm best at is talking to people or talking with people. We met at a networking group. We had a one-on-one, then we realized that we had a lot of things that we could be of value to other people.
Yes.
So you want to stay in your state of genius. So I was aware that I needed to find a virtual assistant. So I attracted a lady that could create a team of virtual assistants so I could continually scale in relationship to everything that I'm doing. So the next A is your
So maybe we could add a bonus A, ask for help.
Yes. Well, actually, that is one of the A's. But we're not there
Okay,
yet.
I jumped the gun.
No problem. So the next day is your affirmations or affirmations, or that's meditation, visualization, but it's going deep within so that you can be more effective on the as you go out to the outer universe. Mm-hmm. The next A is authenticity. Are you authentic? Because I think people are fed up with being hyped. You've got to be congruent with what you say and what you do. That was one of the biggest things that I saw where I see people sabotage themselves.
And I would say that A, alignment is the word that came to my mind.
Okay.
That what you're saying and where you're like your intent are congruent.
Exactly. So the next A is your attitude. You keep hearing the vibrations in the words, your attitude. It's like when people ask me, how am I doing? Or when you ask other people, it's amazing how many people say good, okay, whatever. My answers are either fantastic, phenomenal, amazing, whatever it is, because I believe that there's a direct relationship with your attitude and your altitude. My original mentor would always tell me, you need to have the attitude of gratitude, grateful for where you are as you're going towards where you want to be. That was one of the key things that helped me get through the weeds, the jungles of life. So attitude's the next one. And the next one is action, constant and proper action. You've got to get out there, going back to what Nike would say, just do it. You've got to go out and get into action. The next one is automation. You want to automate the things that you're doing so that you can be more effective and have the highest productivity in relationship to what you're looking to accomplish. And the last one, which you alluded to, the last A, is asking powerful questions of yourself and others. If you ask powerful questions and deep meaning questions, you will get the answers in relationship to what you're wanting to accomplish. So there you have it. That should be 8 A's, 2 B's, 8 C's, and now the one strategy.
Okay.
The one strategy that I made millions of dollars on, which is leveraging resources in multiple streams of income. Now, resources come in a variety of forms. You've got other people's experience, like you can live through the experiences that I've shared with you today, or other people that share with you in relationship, as long as they've got credibility in your mind. You've got your own experiences. You've got life energy, you've got your connections, you've got money. There's a variety of different kinds of resources. So the more that you can leverage resources as you're developing your team, it's like I talked about my team. I've got a person that oversees and does the things I want. I've got a copywriter and a very sharp marketer. In fact, we're just releasing an ebook that we're going to test. And it's the title of the ebook is called The 3 Things I Learned Living Through a Pandemic. Because anybody and everybody that's older than 2 years old has lived through a pandemic. Now, the 3-year-old and 4-year-old might not be able to read it yet, but it's still impacted them. But again, we've isolated and helped bring in to educate people of some of the things and how it can benefit them as we go forward.
Awesome. So, well, I'm feeling full. However, I did want to ask you, if you could go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
That's a great question. And first of all, I think about a lot of it goes back to education. I didn't value education as much as I should have when I was growing up. For example, my mom forced me to take typing classes. I was thinking, typing classes is for ladies, girls.
My dad did that with me also. I'm so grateful now, but who knew then?
Exactly. Well, my wife types 100 words a minute. She's part of my team because I'm still handpecking. But that's one example. I didn't put enough importance on education at a younger age. Remember, I didn't come across Wayne Dyer's cassette tape series until I was in my 30s. Think about all that time. That I could have created been more productive and effective in the marketplace. So that would be the biggest piece of advice to my younger self.
Yes. And when you're 16, 17, 18 versus when you're in your late 20s, let's say, have a different receptiveness to that coaching. However, point made. So, well, is there a question that you wish I'd asked? And if there is, how would you have answered it?
Oh, man. Is there a question? Here's one of the key things I'll share with everybody. It doesn't matter where you start in life or where you are now. The key is the direction you're headed and where you choose to end up. Life is about choices. So it's, well, and let me expand upon it. As far as a question that you would have asked, what's next? Well, early on, I listened to, I can't remember even who said it. When you get to the end of your life, and I've always said, I'm not going to ever stop working. But when you get to the end of your life and you reflect back on your life, the question that you ask, did you live a life of meaning? Now, I know I'm doing. But again, it's like, what is the purpose in relationship to the things that you're really doing? Are you
Mhm.
contributing? Going back to the movie that Jimmy Stewart played in, It's a Wonderful Life. He didn't even realize the impact he had on others. And that was the movie, what the movie was about. So really that's how what I could say as far as ending it, as far as where I'm at.
That's that's a great sentiment, a great point of view, a mindset to bring toward the end of this conversation. So, well, I know people are going to want to get a hold of you. So what's the best way that they can reach you?
Sure. Let me give you my email address. It's Butwin, Butwin @gmail.com. And let me share, because this is interesting also. I've got children that have grown up, and Zig Ziglar used to always say, turn lemons into lemonade. So whenever I'm on breakout rooms and I say, what I really want you to remember is what my name is Robert Butwin, and with Robert, you do nothing but win.
I like it. So is that so that's really great. Uh, is there something that you'd mentioned before we started that there was a gift that you had to share with our audience? So how can they get that?
Definitely. I'm going to give you a gift that normally I sell for $497 for free. Absolutely free. And I'm going to spell it out. It's bit.ly / Butwin, all small letters, Butwin 2020. Now, when you log on, you're going to see a $497 price tag, but let me give you a code that will give you free access. It's winning. Now, why would you want this as a free gift? First of all, there's some very valuable information in it. I've got a list of 50 different networking groups, because now with everything going on Zoom, it's easier to meet people. A lot of what we do is our mindset. So you've got a list of 50 different Zoom networking groups that you can plug into at no cost. Number one. Number two, I've got a variety of different interviews. For example, we talked about branding. Jerry Foster, branding evangelist. There was an hour presentation he's got. Jim Feldman is there. He's got his site is Shift Happens. The guy's brilliant. I could go on to things that I've learned from Jim, but it's my way, because it goes back to what I mentioned to you earlier. My focus is how I can help more entrepreneurs become successful. I know that if I'm able to do that, I'm living a life of meaning.
I got it. So, Robert, it's been a real treat having you with us. And I really appreciate all that you've shared with us. People are going to get a lot of value out of that. So thank you very much.
Eric, thank you. And if they get a value, then it pleases my heart, because that's what I really want to see happen. But I also want to make sure that they take action. Take one or two things that I said. I don't care what it is. Take action so you can see the positive change.
Yes. Words, great words, well spoken. So thanks, Robert. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric. And I look forward to continue being involved with you in many different ways.
Thanks. Okay. Bye for now.
Goodbye for now.